Present.
Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team. Have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Trevon Diggs, pick six. It's coming. They see it. Knocked away. Oh, Gregory! Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
ladies and gentlemen, 2 in a row. 2 in a row. We went up to New Jersey. Spoonie was in the building, and we got the job done on Monday Night Football. Now Cooper Rush ain't 1-0. He ain't 2-0 as a starter. He's now 3-0. And here the Cowboys sit now at 2-1 with Washington coming to town. Y'all already know me and Washington don't vibe like that. Okay, so I'm a little extra. I'm a little feisty. You know, it gets underneath my skin. But with that being said, first and foremost, shout out to the chat in the building. Hope everybody's Wednesday is going fantastic. And for our people that are in Florida and maybe parts of Georgia there as well, like our guy Professor O, hopefully y'all get through this. Everything is going fine for y'all, and stay safe as this hurricane is moving through there. So hopefully you still got some power if you're in those realms. You can come over here and take your mind off some stuff and have some fun time here as we're going to talk about these Cowboys. With that being said, I got to start with Spoonie first and foremost tonight, y'all. Spoonie was up in the building. How was MetLife? Our home away from home, basically.
Well, I don't know if anybody saw my video I put up on Twitter where they was giving out some free giant towels, and it was me, my brother, Buddha, and a couple of his friends were there, and some other Cowboy fans, and I threw the giant fan towel on the floor that was giving it to for free, and I stomped on it very hard. It cleaned the bottom of my shoe, which was very great. So I did that, and I let everybody know that next time and I told them when we visit our house at MetLife, this is what you give us. This is what you give us right here. So listen, shout out to the Cowboy Nation who attended. It was great. It was a hostile environment. It was definitely hostile in there, especially with Lawrence Taylor being there and everything. But I tell you this, it was great. It was great seeing this Cowboys team get in there, get after it, playing some smart football, taking advantage of what was thrown at them. Defense, my God, we are seeing a defense. No, excuse me, we are seeing a Super Bowl type defense. I'm saying it. It's real. It's very real. And with the injuries we having and these guys coming back together. I mean, it was beautiful. Cowboy Nation stood there to the players left the field and just chanting, more chanting. We chanted going out the stadium. We chanted at the train to go to Manhattan. We chanted at the bus stop. I mean, it was a lot of FUs, but it was we love you too, right back. So, shout out Cowboy Nation. We did this.
All right. Well, Spoonie Cup runneth over with Kool-Aid now.
Yeah.
Mary, how are you doing this Wednesday?
Man, I'm great. Victory week. We get to talk about another win. They're progressing. Cooper Rush is 3-0 as a backup. Most of us didn't have faith, but he's making us eat crow. So I'm happy for that. And I get to meet DeMarcus Ware tomorrow, so I'm very excited.
Let's go.
Yeah, my week has been great so far.
Facts. Professor O, how are we doing this Wednesday?
I mean, I couldn't be doing any better. I couldn't. Everything's going well. Cowboys are on a winning streak. Is two a streak? Are we at a streak level yet?
I mean, two. I mean, hey, two's
Definitely.
a streak.
We're on a winning streak. We're going to call it. Yeah, we're on a winning streak. Beat a divisional foe on the road. Monday Night Football. It's exciting. And now we have another divisional foe coming up. And Carson's going to be seeing – I know it's not Halloween yet, but he's going to be seeing ghosts this week, and I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, everything's been going well. Except this video clip that's not loading. But
that's not loading up.
It's going well.
Yeah, not loading. Fair. We'll get there, though. We'll get to that. So let's pivot right here and let's go ahead and get to this Giants recap. I'll start here. Offensively, back-to-back weeks, we're seeing some consistency. Dare I say, an identity coming from this offense all of a sudden, Mary? Is that you're eating some popcorn? Eat your popcorn.
No, I agree. They're starting to focus on getting Pollard and Zeke involved more, which is kind of what they said they were going to do in the offseason. We didn't see much of it week one, but they're sticking with it, and it's been working. The O-line has been blocking very well when we run the ball. So it just seems like I think we have 76 yards rushing between Pollard and Zeke. So average like 6 something a carry. So yeah, I mean, we saw this at the beginning of last year where they played really well running the ball against the Chargers and, a few other teams, and they kind of got away from that or were just forcing it when it wasn't working later on in the year. So I'm just hoping that they keep on with this progress of the running game and the offense overall.
Yeah, and Mike McCarthy spoke a little bit to this morning. I'll read the quote here. McCarthy said, "We needed to run the ball better this year. More importantly, we needed to get more attempts at the plate. We needed to stay committed to it. I think we've definitely done that the last 2 weeks. Tony and Zeke are featured players for us. I don't see us changing." So, which brings me into the point of this identity, and as you were talking there, Mary, and how they've used them both outside of week one, and we saw week 2 and 3. So, for me, what I looked at after week one, Mike McCarthy, via his press conferences, had a few pointed things to say. I don't like option routes, right? He kind of talks about that. Then he's talking about on my play call sheet, when I was in San Francisco, I had a section there for Jerry Rice, 10 plays or so in that realm and certain things. And granted, there's nothing's came out about this or whatnot. And I know at times whenever Kellen Moore does well, we're like, okay, is it going to continue? Is it going to continue? Or is it going to go back to what it was before? Professor O, I think Mike McCarthy has had a hand in this the last 2 weeks, honestly. I think what he led up saying to the Bengals game and how we've seen things and how he doubled down today and say that, I think that gives me confidence that this will be the plan moving forward with this offense and Kellen Moore.
No, I agree. And what's interesting, too, is there's this narrative going around that I think is actually factual where they say the offense just looks different. Kellen's calling the offense differently. Even if you go back to last year when Cooper Rush started against the Vikings, it looks different than that. Like it's different. And that's where I think I want to kind of push back on this idea that Cooper runs the offense differently. I think it's being called differently just all around. Like they've found things that they are comfortable doing They're predetermining snaps. They're dictating what the defense does. And that's something that I want to point out too. Big kudos to Kellen, Mike McCarthy, all the brain trust in the organization that did that. Because when we talk about 12 personnel, one of the things we talked about ad nauseum on this show was using 12 personnel allows you to dictate the formation that the defense is in. And it's important to note that because last week we did a lot of 12 personnel and 13 personnel, and the Giants the week prior did a lot of 3 safety looks. They weren't able to do that. They had to play their linebackers on the field, so we forced them to get out of what they did the week before that was successful for them and made them match up personnel-wise with what we had on the field, and it allowed us to control the tempo of the game. So obviously the scoring wasn't what you'd want, but we're playing a tough defense with a lot of backup players stepping up. And overall, I'm happy with what they're doing. It looks like they found a good rhythm on not just putting in Zeke for 3 series and then giving Pollard 1 series. It seems like there's a good rotation there. Seems like they're doing a pretty good job of getting guys in space and scheming guys open, which is something we've been begging for years now, saying, why does everybody else have guys running wide open and we can't find the way to get our best players open at all?
Right.
Because there were plays last week that or on Monday, you can look back to where there's 3 or 4 guys open, not just one guy that you schemed open, like just because of the successful mesh concepts, some of the personnel groupings we had in, some of the pre-snap motion, getting the Giants kind of out of sort. And then one thing I think was huge that was completely different than what we've done over the past is we're not waiting until there's 3 seconds left to snap the ball and letting the Giants and the defense get completely comfortable.
Yes, I hate that.
We're lined up at 25 seconds ready to go while they're still getting the personnel mixed, sorted up and trying to get their coverages and snapping the ball. And we had them completely out of rhythm doing that. So, yeah, there's definitely new wrinkles, and they seem to be – I don't want to use the phrase in the bag, but they're getting comfortable with this flow of the game that they're doing.
And I think, for the first time, what we're seeing is they're calling plays for players, not for the scheme, right? They're calling plays for the players. Like the plays that you're seeing for Pollard are designed for him. They're not just Zeke's runs, go around what Zeke runs. They're designed for him. I think they called plays for Lamb. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot, you've always said, Kellen Moore hates the wheel route. Guess what they did? They ran a wheel route with Hendershot and got him. It works.
Yeah.
Amazing how that is. So
I'm hoping nobody in Commanders Land is listening to this, but we also did some jet sweep motions with Kavonte Turpin, and he ran a wheel route off of that. We didn't throw the ball to him or even and actually one of those was a running play, but we're setting it up like that's going to happen. Yeah,
that's coming. So just the dynamic of how this thing has changed in general from what we've seen from Kellen Moore and what he has on the wall and what we know he calls to now. I just think a lot of it's heavy McCarthy saying, all right, let's get in this drawing room. Let's talk this thing out, and we need to get that way. So super excited to see that, and gives me faith that they'll use that thing moving forward. On the other side, Spoonie, boy, that balance, 15. What we got? 15 carries for Pollard for $105. Then you got, about 75 yards with 14 carries there with Zeke in the touchdown, averaging 4.9. The thunder and lightning that we talked about here with them, right, was on display Monday night.
Right, yes. Listen, you got to be excited. Forget the verses. I'm tired of that crap. Pollard versus Zeke versus Pollard. Let's get that out the way. Let's embrace the tandem. Embrace like if this was Kamara and Ingram. This is what's being created. McCarthy said that from day one. We gotta. He says we gotta keep Zeke healthy. How you keep guys healthy? By spreading that ball around. Give the carries to some of the Pollard's explosive. They're 2 different backs. They're both 2 different backs, and it's working. They both spelling each other very well, and it's put great things on the field. We see the numbers there, and is definitely increasing. Listen, the big play that Pollard made over the middle, my God, that run was and then with Zeke with the touchdown, is giving the defense different looks. And this is what we wanted. If this is going to be part of the ingredients for us to move forward and win these games, that's what's needed. Forget the verses. We don't need verses.
Right.
We don't need that. This stars in a helmet, y'all. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Thunder and lightning, man. That's it.
And right on the streak, that's got you 2 straight wins, right?
Yes.
So it's a fruition. It's something on this channel that we've banged the table hard for the last couple of years about getting getting Pollard involved the right kind of way, Mary. I mean, we were basically screaming. All of us were going into the season last year. My God, please! And then throughout the season, they still wouldn't do it. Hence why we talked all this offseason. Like, yeah, well, we've been here before, always being used in preseason. Oh, it's great, whatever. And it's just great to really kind of see it come through the other side. Look, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to step up to the plate here first. Now before O was on the show with us, me, Spoonie, and Mary had to sit here one day and dial up a plate and kind of eat a little bit of crow when it came to LVE. So I'm going to go back in the kitchen here because I was on a mission this entire off season. I was Will Greer season. That's the guy I wanted for the backup and whatnot. So allow me real quick as it's dialed up here. No. Let's dial it up because I'm about to talk about Cooper Rush. Let's go ahead and put that on up here. Let's go ahead and throw it on up there whenever you're ready. And just very simply, I'm gonna go in the kitchen, get this crow that I had left over from the LVE from a few years ago. I'm gonna eat some crow via Cooper Rush right now. Or maybe we should call him something else like Quentin Bohanna did. What did Quentin Bohanna call him?
Cooper Clutch.
Was it Cooper?
Cooper Clutch, man. Cooper Clutch. This is nine, Cooper Clutch. I've been on Madden lately kicking ass with Cooper Clutch, boy. Look, I put him in, but they missed some throws like on Madden though. They gonna update my boy. He gotta be in the 70s. He's respecting Cooper Clutch.
And ladies and gentlemen, as I eat this, it's no longer Cooper Rush. It's Cooper Clutch.
Apparently.
Be a big bowl. I was ready to move on. I wasn't happy. I always said I thought between the ears. He was very intelligent. I thought that he could be a coach in this league. I still believe that about him if he wants to do that. The arm talent was where I was at. And I got to be honest, y'all. We've seen him 3 games. Just simply, he looked like an NFL quarterback Monday night from the throws that he was making and the things that were going on. I was just like, wow. I was very impressed. I think it's very much so the best game that Rush has played in his career. But just again, when I'm right, I'm right. But when I'm wrong, I'll sit up here and I'll spoon and eat some crow here. Shout out to Cooper Rush and Woody or Cooper Clutch now, even if you will.
Yeah,
and
I gotta eat some crow too. I mean, I was not a fan of Cooper Rush.
It's a good thing we're hungry right now, Mary. So
right, I'm starving. I was right there with you. When Dak went down, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna try to sell us that Cooper Rush is gonna get us through this and blah 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 blah. I had a lot to say. It's on Twitter. Y'all can go back and look at it because I don't love. But he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. He seems very comfortable with the offense. He seems fearless. He doesn't let things get to him too much. And so, I gotta apologize to Rush.
It's damn. You gotta have to apologize. Not me, Professor. Me, Professor was in Vegas, and we was like, yo, we got the best backup in the game. Remember that, Professor? We said that, right? Didn't we say that? Nah, I'm just BSing. Listen,
Matt is like, no.
Yeah, I gotta.
No, I remember the conversation. Spoonie was just, sitting there, and he was like, you know what? I think Cooper Rush might have a little bit of Tom Brady in him, and I was like, I agree, full-heartedly agree. We actually came up with Cooper Clutch. Like, that was our nickname.
Yeah. Secret. We was waiting for the right moment, and it came out. Nah, listen, I'll be honest. We all got to eat crow. I'm one of them. God, Jesus, don't put the videos back of the Cooper Clutch comments. Don't put them back. But listen, I tell you this, we have accountability. We all excited about what we've seen with Cooper Rush. Not getting too ahead of ourselves to start a debate between him and Dak. He's doing what a backup quarterback should be doing, and this is something we all just wanted. And now we're really seeing him being a better quarterback this year. And especially what Priol said has a lot to do with the play call as well from Kellen Moore and maybe a little bit of help for Mike McCarthy. So, I mean, we're going to enjoy the win over here. That's it. Enjoy what Cooper Rush is doing.
Yeah, man. And I said it earlier today. It's winning over everything.
Right.
I don't want to be right to a fault where we lose. Hey,
Facts.
I like to be proved wrong. And what I'm saying is wrong and gets us a dub, man, so be it. I'm not that guy. Winning's bigger than me being right about some stuff. I'm right enough. Look, as I always say, 96% of the time I'm 100% right. But there's that section of 4% where, I got a little swing and a miss. And a little swing and a miss over there on Cooper Rush, Professor O.
Yes.
You already know. Whoa, that's why I tweeted out today, DMV. Shout out to DMV in the building.
So when we were talking, 53-man rosters, we had whole conversations. We actually did a quarterback preview show where we talked about the quarterback room, and the conversation was Cooper Rush is the guy that they feel comfortable with. He knows the offense. He's the safe guy. He's a smart guy, and he won. He won him a game last year in a big moment in primetime television. So we all kind of agreed he probably was going to be the backup quarterback, but a lot of us, I think all of us, were kind of hoping it was going to be Will Grier because of the skill set and what he's able to do matches a little bit, not saying he's Dak, but he has a little bit more Dak athleticism in him than Cooper Rush. And the other comment that was going around a lot that I think all of us should be eating crow on is he doesn't have an NFL arm, right? Like we all heard that, and a lot of us said that. The problem is his arm looks pretty damn good.
It did Monday night.
That throw to CeeDee Lamb was on a rope. That was perfectly placed. Protection was great, obviously. They only rushed 3. But at the same time, he looked pretty damn good. So I have to take my hat off to him. I'm not in the camp of even talking about him as a long-term starter, but I'm happy for him. He waited his opportunity, has been around the team for a long time, and has made the most of it. And the team is rallying around him and even calling him Cooper Clutch. So shout out to him. Let's go make it 4 in a row, Cooper Clutch.
Yeah, that part. And I'm telling you, go back to the Minnesota game last year and you see like the big balloon balls, things that are happening and whatnot. And even against the Bengals, he did some things, but it wasn't there. Man, did he get some deer antler spray on his arm? I don't know what he did for Monday night. I was watching the ball come out of his hand. I was like, are we sure that's Cooper Rush?
It was confidence too. Like you could tell he had the confidence. Like I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah. So one more time for Cooper. I'm gonna spoon feed myself here a little bit of crow on Cooper Rush. Oh my God. Yeah. Salute to the guy and what he's doing.
I just took a little bite, just a little.
Just a smidge. Yeah. You gotta take a little bit there.
Wait, no soundboard on the eating? We gotta have some music.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no soundboard on the meal we just had.
All right, now you gonna crank up on that
Come on, Professor.
Don't encourage me because I will hit the ground running with this.
Yeah. I think another thing happened in this game as well that I want to touch on, and it's a good problem. It's a problem for the Cowboys offensively, but it's a good problem. Dalton Schultz better be doing everything he possibly can to get back on the field ASAP this Sunday, because these two young guys that we talked about extensively throughout the offseason, training camp, preseason, and I loved what was coming from. Hey, there it is. There's our soundboard. Shout out to the soundboard making an appearance here. But yeah, it's all good. But on the back end, I loved Ferguson as a prospect. And then I was higher on the draft than a lot of people, but I loved Ferguson as a prospect and what he could do. And then we backdoored into Hendershot. Shout out to our guy Mendoza, who talked a lot about Hendershot, and O was on board with that as well. We kind of got into that. And the comment that I made during preseason was, after we were starting playing some preseason games, was simply this: if they could end up with these young guys, if they were lucky enough, the stars aligned, if you will, and that could be maybe that tandem that you saw up there in New England, or anywhere in that realm, you've done a pretty damn good job, right? And you're going to feel pretty good about the tight end position. And when we did the 53-man roster breakdown, we all kind of agreed on the fact that this is the best this tight end room has been in a long time. We really felt that way. And boy, not huge yardage plays or whatnot. However, when you turn on the tape and see these guys blocking, Henderson out here getting pancakes on linebackers, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I mean, they like certain tight ends, they're willing, but they don't like. It seems to me, they like to go out here and block. They want to go hit somebody.
Yeah, no, they're like barking at each other, literally, about their blocks. Like, it's crazy. They're getting each other hyped up. Yeah, I don't know if you want to call them. So Mendoza likes to call them the Road Warriors, which fire nickname. I like that. I'm kind of, I don't want to know. I don't know, Bash Brothers, whatever. I don't know what it is, but these guys are gamers. Like they stepped up because we all know Ferguson was a willing blocker, but being a willing blocker and pancaking people is two different things. He looks very, very good in the run blocking game, and I think over the next few weeks we'll see a little bit more of him as a receiving option too. But Hendershot was the guy that we're like, he's the athlete, but he's not going to be a great run blocker. That's not been the case either. So if you guys want to eat crow for that early on, the early payback has been pretty good. So I'm really impressed with him.
Yeah. What was that movie? Slapshot Spoonie, the old hockey movie, right? They had the brothers that was just
Bash
Mighty
Brothers
Ducks.
was Mighty Ducks.
no.
Mighty
I know
Ducks.
that. No, but there's a slap. But I'm going to the other. There's another movie, but
With the
neither here nor
glasses,
there.
yeah. With the
Yeah,
glasses,
yeah, with the
yes.
glasses. But I forgot what they called them in the movie. I
Yeah,
have to
I
go and look that
forgot
up. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Man, these tight ends, man, just and we talked about this a lot of we were talking about running the ball and be effectively running the ball. Throughout the preseason was you only have 11 guys on each side of the ball, right? Well, when the quarterback is handing off, there it is, the goons. But when you have the quarterback handing off the ball to the running back, now you're 9 versus 11. And the teams that run the ball well, it's about their edge guys, the tight ends and the wide receivers also getting involved in the blocking game that makes a difference. And it just matters a ton. And we saw that in New York, right? I mean, we just talked about the yardage that they gained and whatnot. And these guys were out here down the field and getting after it. So yeah, man.
I literally was I was on DMV's show last night. Shout out to him again. And I said the same thing you said about Schultz. I was like, before the game, Jerry said that Schultz and Gallup both made the decision that they probably weren't ready to go. And then all of a sudden you get Hendershot and Ferguson having a great game. And I'm just like, I know Schultz's agent was probably like, you better play next week. You gotta play. You are on the tag. Like, we need to get you a contract. You need to play. Your knee needs to be feeling better.
I always say this. An agent doesn't always have the best for the player. When you get paid, they get paid. And the situation, the Cowboys brought some young guys in, and now it took one injury. It might be done. It might be over with.
Oh.
And as long as Hendershot and Ferguson keep getting more playing time and keep progressing and keep showing the front office what they're about, it just sorry, Schultz, it's done. Don't get me wrong. This year you're part of this team, but moving forward doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it's early, right? And you want to see them blossom and grow. But the thing that I love about it, and when we talk about the 12 personnel and how Kellen Moore operates within that and what they're doing, now you just have more weapons at the position, right? You have, and so I'll be very intrigued, even as Schultz comes back, how they're going to line these guys up, how are they going to get them involved and watch them grow throughout this year. I just very exciting for the starting point they had, because look, you don't know. We saw what they did in preseason. You're feeling pretty good. You think you might have something, but you don't know till the lights are really on and it's a regular season. And to see the kind of game they had on the road, Monday Night Football in New York, is very encouraging. And it is a great great problem, like I said, for the Cowboys to have, is to figure out how they're going to incorporate all three of these guys. I think it will definitely be more Schultz and Ferguson than Hendershot, and we'll see what happens there. Not that Hendershot won't get his opportunities, but I think that's where they'll kind of sit at and kind of move forward. But once again, we talk about adequate NFL depth in situations here, and losing a Dalton Schultz now, you don't feel like you're just out of options at tight end, which is fantastic moving forward, because we know how the PCL was for Zeke last year and how it hampered him. He has a similar injury. So how is that going to affect him when he's out here playing, and how long can he go? Because they play two different positions, and we'll have to wait and see. But if something does happen with him long-term with this injury, you don't feel like you're out of gas, or you can't get to the 12 personnel package, and you can let these young guys get out here and compete. So I thought that was, I just wanted to really highlight that and talk about what they did, because I was looking at that tape and I was like, dear God, these boys were blocking. I'll spin the block here. We ate some crow for Rush. We talked about these about these young tight ends and some of the job that they did. From this game for you, what stuck out to you outside of the two talking points we've had there? What was something that stuck out to you in this game?
I mean, we talk about it so often. I may as well just talk about the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Micah Parsons is just never going to get a holding call, no matter what.
No.
No matter what he does, he's never going to get a holding call. We just have to accept it. Like, at this point, there's no reason even getting mad at the refs because he's just not going to. You can do anything you want to this man, and they're not going to call it. So, aside from like the penalties, because obviously they've Land Clark, shout out to Land Clark and his crew for having a phenomenal game out there, officiating the game. But what stood out to me was the pass rush. I mean, that was just insane. Like 35 pressures. When the original report came out that it was 25 pressures, I was like, that's crazy. And then after the fact, when they reassessed it and they said it was 35 pressures, he was pressured on like 50% of his snaps or whatever the number was. Like, that's absolutely insane. And it wasn't just one person. It wasn't just Micah Parsons being Lawrence Taylor. It wasn't just, Oso Digizua or somebody having a big game. It was everybody. Like, the one techs were getting pressure. The defensive ends, no matter who was in the rotation, got pressure. Like, that was absolutely amazing. And it wasn't like we were rushing 8 players to get that pressure. We were just bringing 4 a lot of times and 5 at the most and still getting to him within a second and a half or 2 seconds of the snap getting there. It was just insane. So that's my thing that stood out.
That part. Mariella, what's one of the big things from you from this game?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with technically 2 things, both on defense. Dorrance Armstrong, he's a guy, he's been on the team for a while, but it's kind of taken him a little bit of time to get to this point. He had a great game on Monday, blocked a field goal, had a sack, was getting a lot of pressure. Like, it just seems like he's progressed to what we wanted him to be before. And also Donovan Wilson, that's another guy that when he was first drafted, when he first got on the team, we pretty much all really liked him, and wanted to see him get a chance and get to play. And, it's kind of been a long time coming for him too, with injuries and everything. And he had a great game. I mean, still he's all over the field. He hits hard. He wants that contact. And I thought they both had really great games.
Yeah, and touch back on great points there. Touch back on the penalty stuff. The 2 Noah Brown non-calls, dear God. But what I do believe, and we talked about this actually on the space spoon before we got over here, what I think will happen is players get calls, like certain players in the league, and this happens across all major sports. And maybe you don't get them as a rookie, but the more you progress, you kind of get them. They're eventually going to have to start giving Micah Parsons these calls because of what he's doing here in year 2. I do believe that is going to happen, hopefully sooner than later, but we'll see what happens. But for that, Spoonie, the one thing maybe for you outside of these talking points that stuck out in this Giants game is you were live and in person.
The leadership of Jason Peters. I don't know if you guys seen it on TV, but when CD Lamb dropped that pass at the great throw by Cooper Rush, you can see in the sideline, Jason Peters walk over to CD Lamb and really just talk to him. But then after that, second half, CD Lamb just turned it on, and then there was a somewhat scuffle. Don't know if that was on TV or not, but you see Jason Peters walk over to Tyler Smith and tells him, "You'll put your helmet back on." So you can see Jason Peters, especially where you're a new player coming in onto the team, he's already stepping in as if he's been on this team a long time. How he approaches these players, these are his teammates. He's giving that mentor, and I always say the one thing that gets overlooked is a guy may not be the same as he was in his prime, but just by him being a leader on the field, it really does a lot for these players. It teaches them. Sometimes don't get onto yourself because you made a bad play. There's still plenty of plays to be made moving forward. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. If you fall, you get back up. And we seen that on Monday night. We saw how CeeDee Lamb, basically had a kind of a questionable start, and then toward the second half, he just turned it up. These are the things that was even challenged to him from the first 2 games of the season between the Buccaneers and the Bengals. CD got to be that number one. And Monday Night Football, he's able to take that step to be that number one receiver. Tyler Smith, the big run where Zeke was running behind him. I mean, we saw him mauling people over. And again, when you see that from your rookie, because once Tyron Smith went down, it was like, oh, Dak's down, Tyron is down, it's bad. You know, Tyler Smith is starting. You know, we saw Jason Peters play some guard. You know, Jason Peters, hey, listen, he's talking to him. We need that. You're always going to want to need that. Everybody has it. And I'm happy that on the offensive side of the ball, besides Dak Prescott, besides Schultz, besides Zach Martin, you have a Jason Peters there. And that's very important. We had that a long time ago when Frederick was on the team. It's good to have another guy there coming in there. So those are the tangibles, the little things that stuck out, but it definitely pays dividends for this team.
Spoonie,
Just
real quick,
to add
sorry, I was just gonna say we've had a lot of people ask about your hat. You want to let them know where they can find that?
Oh, it's Squad. It's a guy on Instagram. What I'll do is I'll DM TC. I got you, brother. I'll DM you where I got it from, but it's called Squad right here. This is what we all. Everybody on the panel, everybody who's watching us, we are the squad. Understand that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to a few things that Spoonie said. One about Jason Peters. I don't know how many of y'all have gotten a chance to watch it, but sounds from the sideline. At the beginning, he's one of the guys talking in the huddle. Like, you got to think this is his first game even being active for the Cowboys. He's been here, wasn't here throughout training camp for any of that, you know, came at the very last minute before the season started, and he's in there as a leader already in the huddle before the game starts. So I think that's had a bigger impact than I think even we could have really imagined, in my opinion. Also about CeeDee Lamb, I said this also on DMV's show. Like, I think it meant, you stepping into the number one role, that's huge shoes to fill, especially wearing 88. And, we've seen his struggles in the first 2 weeks and even at the beginning of the last game. But I think it means a lot for his confidence going forward and how he progresses and plays for the rest of the season, that he was able to turn things around in the second half and also get his first catch of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's just, winning cures all, right? I think I want to put the bow here on this Giants game simply with this. It was a hot button topic last week and about Tyler Smith and where he should play. I think we're done here, right? He's a left tackle.
Yeah. I mean, he's been great. And Peters, when he got in, he was great at left guard. So, I mean, at the moment, I don't see a reason to move it.
I think that conversation's done. Before we put the bow in it, DMV wanted us to talk about the Zach Martin yelling at the sideline clip. You guys have any thoughts on that you guys want to share?
I look, and going back and listening, it was quick calling that set. It was not, as previously put out there, the 4-letter word. It was set. I look, and I saw No C actually talk about it as well and give it a thing and what was said. He's looking at the sideline and he's screaming at the sideline. I don't know what else to really say. It was a bad play per se. They didn't do whatever, whatnot. I know it's being explained like, it was communication was the problem without the offensive line. Then why are we yelling quick calling that set? What's that got to do with communication? I don't understand.
Yeah,
the dichotomy there.
That's my same thing. Like, he's looking directly at the sideline, and they say, it was just bad O-line communication. Like, it doesn't look like that was what it was, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so I think in general, he said, I think it was directly there. Look, they're not going to come out and say, oh, well, he was not happy with the set or the play call or whatever. They're going to put it in a different light, if you will, and whatnot. But for me, he got up immediately. He's walking towards the sideline. He's looking at the sideline and says, quit calling that set.
Well, and to me, like, regardless of what they say, I mean, it seems like it was about that. And I hope that it really was, because somebody like that, he's virtually irreplaceable. Like, they're not going to bench him and like all of a sudden you got somebody else starting in his spot in the next few weeks because they don't like what he said. Like he can't be replaced in his spot. So him saying something like that is pretty much what I think this team needs, what this offensive coaches need, because they can't, whether you believe Amari Cooper or not, the story is that that's why he got benched. That's why Dez got cut. That's why, players had issues. But he is a Hall of Fame right guard. He's one of the best still to this day. He cannot be replaced anytime soon. So for him to say that it's true is huge.
Right. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines as you guys. So I sent that in the group chat. I was like, am I just hearing things wrong? Because every time I listen to it, I'm hearing quit calling that set, not quit running that. So
right.
It makes sense, though, because part of the play call is the offensive line call. They don't just call like quarterback keeper or, throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Like there's an entire sequence to the play calling cadence. And part of that is telling the offensive line what to do. Is it zone blocking? Is it man blocking? That's how they know if somebody's supposed to pull. Like there's a portion of the play call that is directed to the offensive lineman. Whatever that portion was on that run play, apparently Zach either thought they did too many times or didn't want that in that situation or something along those lines is my best guess. I don't think it's as big of a deal as people thought when you first see it, especially if you look at the caption below. It could seem like a much bigger deal than what he actually probably was just frustrated about. So I don't think it was that big of a deal at the end of the day, but it's interesting, worth at least considering and talking about.
Yeah, I just, I think he wasn't happy. And look, right, because they'd already been down in the red zone inside the 10. They hadn't scored, so he was tired of that kind of play calling that was happening there. So I think he voiced it as a leader. And look, he should have, right? And I'm not really mad at that. As the points that Mary made makes a ton of sense. This is kind of just how I look at it personally, and I think we kind of like the Spoon. I guess same boat for you there as well.
Yeah, it's the same. It's not a big deal. If a veteran leader sees something wrong and address it, this is what we want. We don't want nobody to stay quiet about it. It's not a big deal. Don't read into it if ESPN decides to play it and play with it and stuff like that. This is what teammates do. They yell at each other, scream at each other. At the end of the day, they hug it out. They go to the locker room. Next game up, it's just natural. It's beyond. If we was all playing up here, you might see PO as a receiver. Me and BJ, yo, you gotta know how to block X, Y, and Z. I got you, brother. It's just like Maddie say, yo, X. It's just like that. It's normal. It's natural, and that's part of the communication when we play this game.
Yeah, and it's in the heat of the moment, and you're trying to get in the end zone. So, like I said, I don't think even if he had said, quit calling that shit. Okay, don't want us to get demonetized or nothing. I don't care. It's in the heat of the moment, and you're upset about a play calling something that hasn't been working. That's okay. Those things. I mean, my God. I mean, y'all see how much they got to bleep out on when we get the sounds from the sideline and stuff. And in the moments, and you have a guy like that. This isn't some rookie. This is a guy that's not a contributor. You're talking about Zach Martin. So that's in the battle and what's happening is fine. But I mean, look, they're going to spin it a different way. But at the tail end of it, he wasn't happy with the play call in the set or whatever the case may be, and he voiced his opinion. And guess what? They scored. So yes, win.
Good job, Zach.
Yes, thank you, Zach. Hey, real quick, deliver the message for Cowboys Nation.
Feel free to do that anytime you want, Zach.
Yeah, this is what I had, y'all. This is what I had. Star Gang Savages. That's what I got to have from y'all. So Star Gang Savages
on Instagram.
Sit in the chat, Spoonie.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Can I put you in for Let me put
okay. All right. So we get out of there with the dub. And of course, hey, then let's not forget Diggs finally gets that pick. He's back. Mm-hmm. He's got number 1. So
he was trying all game too.
Yeah. There was 2 he should have. One for sure. He would. Oh my goodness, that was pick 6 for real.
I screamed at the TV because I was like, "Yes, he got it." And then I was like, "Wait, no, he didn't."
And be remiss here, D-Law. My goodness, I mean,
3 sacks.
3 sacks.
He owned Evan
going nuts, and thank God the foot wasn't more serious when he was down. He had to go out, but he came back in. Seems to be good to go on that front, which makes interesting point with the bet about the sacks because he was down 4-0. Oh, it's only 4-3 now. There's some competition to push between Parsons and Law, and I'm sure we're going to hear about that as this season keeps moving along there with what's going on.
There's a dark horse in the race too. Dorrance Armstrong's hey, because keep in mind he had a second sack that was called back because of illegal contact or defensive holding or something along those lines. But he had a sack, so he would be right there with 4 sacks on the year too.
Facts. So, hey, man, you gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. But I mean, I
My
guess
bad.
you just.
Sorry.
Oh no,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm
I'm
just
good.
gonna. Yeah, I guess she wasn't here earlier. I mean, I was like, you have to rewind it a little earlier in the show, Gregory. I was up here eating crow.
Yeah,
And he's now
we all
Cooper.
had some.
Yeah, he's now Cooper. He's now Cooper Clutch via Quentin Bohanna. So yeah, once the show's over, man, rewind it back. You'll see early on. Definitely got the big old spoon out, if you will, and got my Zeke on the ate some crow there on Mr. Cooper Rush. You know what I mean? So you got to give him some. Got to give him some love and what he's done. But now it's great. 2 straight wins, 1-0 division. Time to move and set our focus here on the Washington Commanders coming to town. And it's a big game for them, right? They're 1-2, they're 0-1 in the division. They need to kind of get right. And just like the Giants unveiling their color rush all whites, now here they come. Now they're unveiling their black jerseys. So if you play against Dallas, I guess you got to you got to dress up for the occasion and show off the new threads.
The tweet of the day for me, by the way, was Washington. It was part of the Washington not learning their lesson from last year. With the tweet, the Washington Commanders Twitter account put Dallas week or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Last year it was the we want Dallas, the whole party outside, and then they got Dallas and they're like, no, we're good. No, thank you. We don't want any more of Dallas. Well, this year they did that again, and one of the Washington Commanders fans said, we're wearing black this week, right? And another Commanders fan says, yes, it's only fitting for Carson Wentz's funeral.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Which is funny because whenever I was doing the show with my guy Deuce and Arch, I was like, they were bringing up the black jersey. So I right, I was like, yeah. I said, you wear black for a funeral, right? Now we're getting right. So, out the gate here, the one thing that screams at me, Carson Wentz is the most pressure quarterback in the NFL. The Cowboys are number 1 in the NFL in getting pressure and sacks. Doesn't seem ideal for Washington.
Nope.
Not at all. I mean,
they've also given up the most 25. I think they have 17 25-yard gains against their defense this year, which is number 1 in the league. Like they have issues.
Definite issues.
Yeah. Now, and we was over there and I was talking with them in their space. One of the things they were bringing up when it came to the defense is the defense is getting stops. It's the big plays that hurt them. But on the back door of not just that, what's happening is they'll get stops, and then the offense can't stay on the field, and then they break and give a big play. And, the offense is not playing complementary football. And one of the questions that I got asked was, what do I think Washington needs to do to be able to have, to be able to accomplish what they want to do and win the game? Is it through the error on the ground? And I was like, back to the very beginning point that we made. Like, if you have to throw the ball, I don't think this bodes well for you. So I think Washington has to come in and they have to try to establish the run game if they're going to have a chance in this game. But that's going to be a tall order because the Cowboys' rush defense has been better this year. Now, granted, we know that week 1 what Leonard Fournette did, great job against Mixon, and basically they did lock up, Saquon, except for, as we all talked about last week, he'll get that one big play, and he did get that one big play. So now they come into town. I think they have to try to some of the same thing. The one thing that Daniel Jones did well against us. We talked about quick passing game. I didn't specifically say RPO, but he used the RPO, and that's one thing Carson Wentz is throughout his career has done well with is some of the RPO action stuff. So I think it's RPOs and definitely getting the run game going. And the Cowboys have to be ready for that coming into this week. For y'all going into this game here, where do you see things, whether it's on the Cowboys offense or what you want to see them do, or how the Cowboys attack them defensively? What are you looking for with this matchup? And Spoonie, I'll start with you, brother.
For me, I would worry about screens for like Curtis Samuel screens, like maybe Doxson, McKissick. That's the one thing during the Giant game with Barkley, they was pretty solid with the screens, and also, of course, with the mobility of Daniel Jones, he definitely gave chuck up some big yards when he had to run out the pocket. So those were one of the things. So Carson Wentz, He does have guys who could really be explosive. They're not blocking, but just well enough in the screen game. And he's not as mobile as he was before, but he's mobile enough to keep drives alive, getting first down. So that's the one thing for this Cowboys defense that we want to kind of eliminate him not doing. And listen, we got to put the pressure on him, keep hitting him. That's one of his things. When he keeps getting knocked to the floor, he doesn't do that much well responding when he gets back up. So keep grinding him down to the ground. You have to. This is a game here where I could definitely see another double sack, triple sack performance by a player on the defensive side of the ball. The same way we had D'Lo with 3 sacks, I think somebody's capable of doing the same thing against this Washington offensive line. So those are the things I want to see.
Oh, what are you looking at here as we're heading to this game? Maybe some of the keys either side of the ball here for the Cowboys.
Yeah, so one thing that's been interesting with Washington in particular is first down is where they're getting eaten alive. They're giving up 8.6 yards per play on the first down.
Is that it here or no?
You can pull that up if you want. But yeah, so this is just a basic snapshot of how the two teams are doing so far. Obviously, the Cowboys' first game only scoring 3 points kind of impacts our point total. But if you look at the rest of it, the Cowboys are allowing 17.3 points per game, 8th best in the league. Washington's allowing 10 points more per game at 28th in the league. So their defense is they're just not stopping anybody from scoring points. They have been able to do a decent job on third down conversions trying to stop, but overall they're really struggling to keep people out of the end zone. A couple things I want to point out to you too is they're really not even trying to establish a run. 67% pass, 33% run. They're rushing 28th in attempts. So Cowboys are 60-40, which is something we talk about pretty often on the show when we're talking about balance in the NFL is 55-45, 60-40. So we're seeing more of that balance that we've been looking for. One thing that's kind of interesting to note, we all talk about Carson Wentz getting the sacks and all of that. He hasn't done a good job the last 2 weeks at passing at all, in the first half in particular. He's averaging 3.1 yards per attempt passing in the first half. He only has 83 total yards passing in the first half of the last 2 weeks combined. That's crazy. And he's taken 10 sacks in the first half the last 2 weeks combined. So you're able to get Washington down early. And then later in the game, you do see the offense open up a little bit more, garbage time situation, which is what we saw last week against the Eagles. That's when they had their scoring drive later in the game. Another thing that's probably worth pointing out too is when pressured, Carson Wentz only completes 50% of his passes. He's averaging 4.7 yards per attempt, which is super low under pressure, and has taken 15 sacks, which is the most in the NFL. So it's probably worth contrasting Daniel Jones taking sacks last week versus Carson Wentz. We talked about it pregame on both of our shows, Wednesday and Friday, is his time to throw, talking about Daniel Jones, was over 3 seconds. He was holding the ball way too long. And against the Cowboys, he actually held it even longer. Carson Wentz is at 2.7 seconds, which is just a little bit above league average. It's actually not too bad. So the problem for Carson Wentz is his pocket presence. He's literally moving into sacks. Like, he can't feel the pressure and is stepping right into it. So I definitely think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for our defense to get another takeaway. We should be able to force fumbles when you're sacked that many times, inevitably, or hit that many times. Inevitably, you're going to turn the ball over, whether that's an errant throw when somebody hits you or a fumble. So I think there's going to be opportunities this week for the defense to do that. But again, that Washington defense is giving up big plays. They are leading the league in big plays allowed. They've given up 17 plays over 20 yards. So there's going to be opportunities for an offense like the Cowboys, which through Cooper Rush the last 2 weeks has been efficient and good enough, but hasn't really been high-flying or explosive. Some of those plays like Tolbert, where we just missed the overthrow, or CeeDee Lamb downfield on the post, some of those are, kind of user errors, not really necessarily schematics. This is a week where you should be able to get explosive plays, maybe looking for the tight ends or maybe Pollard out of the backfield or something like that. So I definitely think we will see a higher scoring game than what we've seen the previous 3 weeks, which will be exciting for fans.
Yeah, I think, a big key here, Mary, what we've seen the last 2 weeks in this identity, the Cowboys need to stick to that this week as well, because we kind of know a little bit about some of those defensive tackles that can kind of get their sweats out there as well, too, right? Are you looking at it that way for offense for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, like I said, we've been talking about wanting to see the offense be more consistent and have an identity. And past 2 weeks, it seems like they've been doing more and more of that as they go on. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to do that. Getting them involved, on the outside or in between, your left guard and your left tackle. Um, those quick passes, I think the offense can definitely start much faster this week as opposed to the past 2 weeks. And then also, as far as defense goes, I mean, Carson Wentz, he has not changed. He hasn't changed. He's gonna he has no awareness in the pocket whatsoever. You knock him down enough times, he's going to get flustered, and he kind of it's just all downhill from there. He has an issue with fumbling. He has an issue with um, holding on to the ball, trying to make plays, and then making a stupid mistake. So I think they just continue to take advantage of that. Like they have before with him, and I see no reason why we can't get double digit sacks. I mean, I know that's insane and that's hard to do, but when you really think about what we did, with against the Giants, who Daniel Jones is more athletic, he can run out of the pocket, and we were still able, and his pocket presence, is better than Carson Wentz, and we were still able to get to him, with 5 sacks. So, when I'm looking at Carson Wentz and I know he's not good moving in the pocket and he holds onto the ball trying to make plays and he gets flustered and checks out sometimes, I think it's very possible that they can get a high amount of sacks this game and
Yeah,
more turnovers.
facts. And kind of pivoting into that as well. We're getting Michael Gallup back, and Michael Gallup had a pretty good fade touchdown catch, and he said MG's back. So maybe in that mental space where he wasn't ready to go this previous Monday night, it seems like he's ready to go here now. With that being said, what are you looking for from Michael Gallup this week, guys? Are we going to be on a pitch count? Do we think is it going to be a snap count here, or we think it's going to be a full tilt for him?
I don't know. I think it's going to depend on what he wants. He practiced in full today. He got some full practices last week. He just wanted to more mentally prepared and get a few more practices under him. But physically, he says he's fine. So I think it's mostly mental. And I think it's going to just depend on, I think he will definitely be active and suited up and will play. But I think it's going to be a matter of how he feels once the game starts, once he gets going and gets some snaps.
Word. Spony, what you think? How you 20%, 70%? What do you think? How many steps is he going? Or is he going to be on a step count? Maybe.
Yeah, I think a snap count. It's going to be pretty much, in my opinion, how he moves during the game. They're going to look at it slowly to see if that way there's no setbacks or anything like that. Working them, see, just go play by play, step by step. So I can see a snap count between him and Noah Brown.
Okay. Obviously with Peters being active, what was it? 14 plays is what he ended up getting this week. They had him on a snap count. Oh, were you thinking maybe something similar? Maybe 14 to 20 plays is what you see for Gallup? Or do you think maybe a little full tilt for him?
I think it might be a little bit higher for a few reasons, but basically any of the snaps that Jalen Tolbert got, and Tolbert didn't play bad for his first opportunity. He had one catch and just missed him on a big play later on in the game. But I think a lot of the snaps that we saw him playing, you will see Gallup on the field. I don't think we'll go quite as 13 personnel as heavy as we did last week against the Giants. I definitely think we'll still have some of those looks, and 12 personnel will still be out there, but that'll give opportunities for Gallup to get out there. I think 20, maybe something like that probably sounds right. I don't think we see him at like 30 or 40 or anything that high, but 20-ish sounds right.
And of course, just having him out there too, it'll be interesting. Look, do they pivot some of the coverage stuff they're doing? They're going to, obviously Willie Jackson for them at cornerback. He did go full tilt. I do believe. I don't think he was limited at practice. I think he actually played full at practice today, but he's been dealing with a back issue and whatnot on that side. But it'll be interesting the looks that they can get with Gallup in there and how they attack it with their lineup defensively. That then takes me to some of the things on this defense and where we're talking about and some issues because Ioannidis not there, right? He's injured. He's not going to be playing. Obviously, Chase Young not there. The D line's a little beat up. And they're having some linebacker issues, right? Because they moved Cole inside. He's got the green dot. He hasn't been the same kind of guy as he was last year. Maybe getting comfortable at the spot. Davis started the year bad for them, but he's played fairly decent the past couple of weeks. But it seems like that front seven. This is why, Mary, when I was talking, we were just talking, the idea of how we saw this game plan last week, specifically with the Giants. It seems like you can wash, rinse, repeat this year with some of the issues they're having in that front seven.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Oh, okay. And I like this. Yes, anytime I see special, I know special teams matter. Anger, pin down. Yeah, anger. Yeah, he's coming through. Yeah, he's coming through in them punts. And speaking of which, hey, in these two games, don't let it be lost. Special teams has been very good for us in these 2 wins. They've been an integral part of this thing. And my Freestyle Friday prediction of the Turpin return for a touchdown, I was this close to getting it. If that play happened exactly the same way, that's in 10 times, that would have been the only time that punter would have got that tackle. I swear.
Hey man, you know what?
We almost doubled up too because. Sorry, go ahead, Mary.
We're playing the Commanders, and anything can happen when we play them, especially at home. So
we almost doubled up on the special teams predictions too, because we spent a decent amount of time talking about the Giants having long snapper issues, that they brought in multiple long snappers on Tuesday, had them worked out. So we were saying maybe because we know that they had a bad snap early in the first game against the Titans, which forced them to have to go for 2 later. Maybe we'll see a continuation of that, and the Cowboys will have an opportunity to block a punt because we've been aggressive at going after punts. Little did we know it would be a field goal, but we were on the right track there, so we almost got it.
Yeah. Dorrance Armstrong coming through, getting that block. Look.
Mm-hmm.
And Spoonie was heavy on the Kool-Aid early, and I'm not trying to get that overexcited about it yet. But I just kind of look at this game. Yeah, I guess kind of look at this game and I look at the issues. But here's the thing about it, and I'm looking at the issues they have and what we're doing well. It seems like a bad time here for Washington, is what it kind of seems like. But it is an NFC East battle. We understand, sometimes what's happening just kind of goes out the door when you get into these kind of dogfights. And it's a very important game for them, as I said earlier. They're already 0-1 in the division. They've lost 2 straight. This is kind of the rubber meets the road kind of game for them. They have a lot to play for this week as compared to where the Cowboys, where it was doom and gloom. But, look, we kind of pivoted. We're winning on the division. We beat the Bengals. We're feeling pretty good about ourselves. We're eating crow on Cooper Rush. It's Cooper Clutch. And, the offense has an identity and stuff. Dare I say this is a trap game?
I hate when the Cowboys are getting hyped. Like, the defense playing so great, and Cooper Rush, he's doing his job. He's winning games for the Cowboys and climbing up in the power rankings, and I hate it because they claim they don't pay attention, but it's they have to be paying attention because it's like they kind of go out there and you can tell the difference between how they start games when they, just lost versus how they start games like this when, you have a little, you've been feeling yourself a little bit. Then to top it off, you see Washington, who just got dismantled by Philly, and, they probably don't have respect for them anyway. So it's like they just got beat by Philly. Oh, we're a better defense than Philly. We should be fine. It's just Washington. Oh, Carson Wentz. That's easy. And then they go out there and miss stupid tackles, and he's making great passes that they barely miss, and they're blowing coverage. And it's just like, so, I'm still picking us to lose this week.
Yeah. Tony, does this smell like a trap game for y'all or no?
Not for me.
Okay.
Not for me. If this is a trap game,
the Kool-Aid overrunneth.
No. This is the trap game for the league. I'm going to say this very clearly.
Oh boy.
We have a Super Bowl defense. When you have a Super Bowl defense, there is no trap. I'm calling it. That's fine. I'm calling it. We have a Super Bowl defense. There's no trap. They believe it. They're hungry.
one of my favorite moments of the game was the end of the game at locker room when Mike McCarthy called Michael Parsons to bring us home in a speech. And let me tell you something. They in it. They in it. You heard what my man at the space said, BJ. Dogs. We said at the end of the last Super Bowl, the playoff game against the Niners, we said we needed dogs. We needed that dog mentality. We have it. We spoke about the tight ends and Henderson and Ferguson. We spoke about how Cooper Rush is playing, the running tap, how McCarthy is involved with the play call. They are serious. The problem is, it's not a problem. We haven't been used to this. We're not used to seeing things like this. We're used to saying when one guy misses a game, we all fail. When things are going good, it just go bad. No, this is a different team. We're just not used to seeing it. It's been that long. So I'm gonna call this right here. I know we're not doing the prediction scores till later on.
Oh boy.
We have a Super Bowl defense. There's no trap. There's no trap.
Okay.
It's a lesson.
Okay.
Let's all watch and learn. We have the professor here every Wednesdays and every Friday, but on Sundays, watch and learn. We got something coming.
Trap game for you or no?
I don't think so. I think last week was more of the trap game than this game, in my opinion, just because there was a lot of things. You're going on the road. You're going against a team that's feeling confident. It's a team that, that was a big moment. They whited out the stadium, color rush. Like, that's a game that the Cowboys could go into saying, we beat the Bengals. This is just the Giants. We'll be fine. Even though they're 2-0, they're not a real 2-0. They're kind of fraud 2-0s. Like, that overconfidence typically is what I would have expected from previous teams, and we didn't fall for it. So we stepped up and, made enough plays to win the game. So I don't think this is a trap game. I do think we have some trap games coming up on the schedule pretty soon, but this is not one I have on that.
Yeah, see, I don't look at the Giants game because they're 2-0. You're on the road. You just won one game in division. To me, it was an uphill battle with the Cowboys in the mindset. I think to me the reason why this has a feeling of a trap game to me is simply the fact that the Cowboys have turned the corner. Everything's great right now. You look at this team and the way this Super Bowl defense, as Cody said, is playing. You see what the Eagles just did to them with all the sacks, and they haven't been able to get right. And Terry McLaurin's not getting the ball in the first quarter, second or third. There's just there's no way they can compete and all these things. And boy, this smells like a lot of the ingredients. I smell it around the old soup kitchen in there.
Yeah.
It smells like a trap. It's a trap. Don't fall for the cheese. But what we will find out, Spooner, this is to your point there. You says, listen, okay, if they show up and we'll see how they play Sunday, it'll definitely let me know. I saw some people in the chat talking about Lions games a trap. How's it a trap? They've played solid football this year.
Yeah, that's not a trap to me. They've been playing pretty good. So
the timing of this game does kind of lead to what you're saying too, though, Nick. Having two divisional opponents who are not typically tough on a short week, and knowing the week after that you play the Rams, and the week after that you play the Eagles. So you kind of start looking ahead, or potentially could start looking ahead. So it makes sense.
You know what it is. When Dak went down, and of course the media went crazy with the how long he's gonna be out for. We all took it and ran with it. Everybody was pointing the finger at her, LOL, laughing. The East is going to the Eagles. Each game, they're like this. Everybody's like, what the hell just? I thought, all right, it's only one game. then this giant game. Wow, look at that defense. It's some. Yeah, believe it. Because
Eagles fans are at the moment praying that Washington beats us because they don't want us to be close in this division, knowing that we're getting a lot of injured people back soon. And it's like, okay. And they see how our defense, even if they won't fully admit it, they see how our defense is playing. They see we've stayed afloat even with the injuries we've had. And then to know that our defense is continuing to play well and we're getting those injured people back, that's scary for them because they know they're going to lose at some point. Like they're not going to keep up this whole thing that they're doing. So they're hoping that by some miracle. Some Eagles fan on Twitter, she said, "Oh yeah, they can win. They just got to protect Carson." And I was just like,
Yeah,
protect
yeah, good luck.
Like,
They haven't done
yeah,
it yet.
like, okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, all right.
Way
Yeah.
easier said than done
Yeah.
to protect Carson, okay?
Hey, look. Hey, hold on, Mills. Ain't nobody being ungrateful. It ain't about faith, but we have to look at it and present it with the context of what we're looking at. Hey, we all say up here last week and picked us to go beat the Giants, which they did, right? And we said it's going to be a tough game and different things going to happen, and it turned out to be that way. But it's being honest about the way the season's set up and give it to you that way. Trust me, we drink a lot of Kool-Aid around here. Smoothie's already on the Kool-Aid, and we drink our healthy amount of Kool-Aid. But on the same token, though, hey. Just when I see things and it arises, I think it's important to talk about. And again, as even backdoored it with just a short week in those two games, there's just some things here that we've seen before with the Cowboys that sets these things up where it can happen that way. Not that we're saying it's going to, but it has the smell of one, not meaning that it is one. You said, I think you had something you wanted to bless up real quick with some connection, something. You had something?
Yeah. So, especially when you have NFC East games, there's always the added layer and dynamic of you're playing a divisional rival, you're playing a team you see twice a year. But there's in the NFL community, there's always certain connections. And this week seems to have more than usual. So Micah Parsons, roommate at Penn State, is playing against him this week. It's a guy that Nix was a big fan of, and a lot of us were on the show. Jahan Dotson, they were college roommates, and they're getting to face each other for the first time in live action. So that'll be kind of fun to watch. Another one I want to mention is Zach Martin's little brother, Nick Barton. The Commanders just picked him up last week, so he is going to face off against his brother. Not really face off, but, teams are going to face off.
Right.
There's a couple championship connections, too. The Commanders have Curtis Samuel, who was teammates with Zeke, Malik Hooker, and Noah Brown for the 2014 Ohio State National Championship team. And then the Commanders have Deron Payne, Cam Sims, who were teammates with Trevon Diggs when the Alabama Crimson Tide won the 2017 National Championship. And also Diggs is from Gaithersburg, Maryland. So that's kind of his home territory. Same thing with Josh Ball. He's from Fredericksburg. Probably not going to play, but again, couple connections that I thought were worth bringing up. The Micah Parsons and Jahan Dotson one, though, might be fun because we'll actually get a chance to potentially see them go against each other. Probably not a lot, but there will be some opportunities.
Definitely. Okay. With that being said, let's spin the block here. Who's winning, Spoonie, and what's your score?
Dallas Cowboys 45-14. Our first 40 burger of the season.
Out the window he jumps. Mary, I'm gonna screenshot Mary's face on this later. I just saw her face. Hey, somebody go clip that. We got to use that for later. Mary was fully shocked. Mary, who's winning and what's the score?
Not because I fully 100% believe this in my heart or my head. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys to lose, only because it's been working.
Yeah. Keep it going. Keep
it's
it going.
It's been working.
Yes.
I'm gonna pick us to lose. It's been working. I don't necessarily 100% feel that in my heart or my head, but I'm going with what's working. So, Cowboys, we're not going to be able to pull it out this week, guys. Sorry.
Okay. Going for that 3 for 3. I love it. Professor O, who's winning and what's the score?
So I mentioned earlier, but I'm picking the Cowboys to win. I have confidence we'll win this week. There's a lot of factors that I think will play into our hand. They've given up 27 points a game. I feel like we'll be right around there. I'm not going quite 40 burger, although I'd love to see it. I'm going to go with a 28-13 win for the Cowboys.
Okay. All right. Well, NFC East, different things. I think the Cowboys win. I don't think it's going to be a layup drill and whatnot. I think things are going to happen. I have the Cowboys on the Commanders space. I called it 2017. I think I'm gonna pivot off of that a little bit after doing some more talking and whatnot. I'm gonna go Cowboys 24 and I'm going 10 for the Commanders. 24-10 Dallas is where it's at for me. Once again, I think it hasn't been easy thus far with Cooper Rush, but they found ways to win the game, right? And there's been moments in these games where you thought it could go the other way, and then, they found a way to get the deal done. It could be something similar to that, but I do think the Cowboys do get the win here for sure. And I'm with you, Spoon. Now I am very excited about this defense to see what they do this week. You know, and look, one thing I will say, they'll probably think about Eagles having those 9 sacks against Carson and ready to tune that thing up and see what they can do. So I'm extremely excited about that. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Spoony,
Yes, sir.
I think it's about time. You know, you were in the building last week, got the dub.
Oh, yes.
I know you're feeling a little down in everything, but I mean, it's Washington week. Okay, since Washington wants to say it's Dallas week. I just wanted to say we won Dallas. I really wanted to say that. But ladies went with Washington week. But with that being said, then we need a Spoony sermon this week. Spoony.
You know, when we was kids, we all believed in monsters and scary movies and stuff like that. Freddy Krueger, fiction. But he was human before he became Freddy Krueger. Michael Myers, fiction. He was human before he became Michael Myers. Chucky, we seen it. He was human before he went to the doll. But you see, here's the thing. What the Dallas Cowboys defense is a real monster. Real. They're not like Freddy Krueger, actors. Michael Myers, actors. Jason, they're not actors. It's real. Very, very real. You see, it's not Halloween time, but it feels like Halloween is going to be all year round this year for every opposing team that steps in front of this Cowboys defense.
I mean, it will be October.
Spooky season.
A while back, we heard of the Hot Boys. It was pretty cool for the minute. It's nice.
Yeah.
The logo with the flames, X, Y, and Z. BJ, Mary, Professor. They said the word doomsday.
That part.
Now, it's one thing to talk about it when we didn't see anything. But now we have seen it. We saw, even though we lost against the Buccaneers, we saw a little rise of doomsday defense. We definitely saw it against the Bengals, and we definitely saw it at MetLife. So right now, the people at MetLife are having nightmares. They're telling Washington, beware, be scared. They're coming. It's real. You can call 911. You can call the Guardians. You can call anybody. The only way that you will not face the doomsday defense is just don't show up. That's the only way. It's a warning. If you want to go hang out with BJ by his house and be trapped in, that's fine. If you want to go to Professor in his classroom and let him hide you in the classroom, that's fine. If you want to go somewhere and hang out with Miss Mary and let her tell you, don't tuck it. What's it called, Mary? What's it called?
Let it hang.
Let it hang. You go find her. Those are your only safe spots. If you don't want to face doomsday defense. Understand that. When you got a line and Michael Parsons roaming that field, when you got a tanking D-Lord shooting every motherfucker that comes his way, when you have a Hawk and Trayvon Diggs that would snatch anything in the air that belongs to you, it's a problem. It's a straight problem, y'all. When you have a Bohanna who tells you're not running over me, you doubted me, I am the wall. You're going to have to scratch with me. You're going to have to take something and break me down because this brick ain't going nowhere. Understand that. When you have a 6'5", 245-pound linebacker and a wolf and LVE being told he can't hang in his jungle, well, his name is Doom Faces. You belong in this jungle. You'll be eating. You're going to be biting every mother effer that comes our way. There'll be blood dripping from your mouth. When it comes down, understand this. When it comes down to Mr. Javon Curse, who's been missing, oh, trust me, baby. He's coming. He's coming, y'all. Don't doubt him. Don't get me wrong.
Mr. Wilson is doing his part. But when Mr. Curse, when you call out we want Dallas, you don't want to see that 6'5" freak come in there and bust some asses up. You don't want to see that, right? Understand this, y'all. The warning has been sent out to every NFL team. And let me explain something to you Washington fans. When you come into BJ Nixon's space, you will raise your hand and don't you dare ask questions about players being missing. You know why? Because we have something that y'all don't have. The next man up approach. Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Uh-oh.
Let me say this right here. And I say this respectfully. You guys eat the shit. You guys talk shit. You guys repeat the same shit all the time. But you know what I noticed lately? You're quiet. You're silent. You know why you're silent? Because it's a warning. The purge is coming. Doomsday defense is coming with their mask. They don't need no mask. They don't need no mask. Their terrors already. They're scary already. Understand this, Philadelphia Eagles. Enjoy that first place right now. Keep it warm. Because when the Cowboys and Doomsday defense come back, they taking the seat back, and your ass is going back to the bottom where you belong. And the problem's going to be is this. When I say take your ass to sleep and don't get up until I tell you to get up, because that's what's going to happen when Doomsday defense comes. Understand that, y'all. Believe it. Taste it. Love it. Agree with it. Dominate, celebrate. It's all going to happen starting Sunday again, y'all. Doomsday defense is here.
Woo!
Holy cow.
I'm pretty sure that was about 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was about 10
Oh, hey. I was like, man, let me go down this purge siren beat somewhere real quick. Let me go get the. Let me go dial that up.
There's some
I'm
quotables
about to
in
run
there.
through the wall right now.
There's some quotables in there.
Well, Mary, you think?
It's been 2 weeks, y'all. 2 weeks.
I know, but hey, look, man, we can't put you on wraps on some of this sermon. He's had that one picked up for a grip. Dear Lord.
He even double dipped. He was like, Washington, you're not alone. Let me just go ahead after Philly too. We're not even playing them. We're just some stray bullets over there while I'm speaking.
Great. Oh man. Hey,
Lord,
you know,
Jesus.
I don't know this. I mean, well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate y'all coming through this evening. You know,
Apologies for the
2-1.
cussing. Excuse me.
Just leave in an orderly fashion.
Like,
2-1. Hey, look, the tip jar's down at the bottom, right? It's a super chat. Y'all go ahead and drop the tip jar, the super chat down there for Spoonie of that sermon, and go ahead and let it be known real quick. My glass of water with
napkin on top.
Oh man, yeah,
It
Spoon.
is.
Look, okay, I think we learned something here. We learned a valuable lesson. We can't hold Spoon back on these sermons for a long time and then bring him back on the. I mean,
We
my
can't do
goodness,
that. He was pent
wow,
up. We can't do that.
man, for sure. I didn't know. Man, I am the wall. Spoon is ready. Look at Doomsday. My man said Super Bowl defense. He told them where they could go find it to be safe with everybody around this joint. Don't show up to AT&T because it ain't safe. Okay, and you're right. Oh, and this Randy was like, you know what? Enough of this. Eagles coming to the table.
Always ready, man. Listen, they got us all off season, man.
Let's go.
I'm ready. Man, listen.
Oh man, that was good.
That part.
Good.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, me and Mary are really hungry. We were hungry before this show even started, so we're about to go get us some grub, if you will.
Yes.
Make sure on your way out, give it a like, give it a share if you're already subbed here in this thing and help build us this community as we're growing and moving forward. Man, we appreciate y'all as always. Shout out to the Wrench Gang in the building. TC Mendoza, appreciate y'all as always. And of course, Friday we'll be back in the building. Typically, we've been doing Freestyle Fridays at 9:30 p.m. Central. We're having some conversations. We might go a little early. We don't know. We're doing some things there, but we'll definitely be back here for the Freestyle Friday show as well. Appreciate everybody for rocking with us. And man, go ahead and rewind that Spoonie sermon. If you're just feeling a little down, you ain't feeling good, just dial up that Spoonie sermon, man, and go run through a brick wall. You'll feel better. Peace.